Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Lewis Speaks 2025, and today I want to talk to you all about reconnecting with your emotionally immature parent. As adult children of emotionally immature parents, we oftentimes have a deep desire to connect with our parents and our loved ones. We oftentimes go no contact as a last resort after repeated boundary violations, after repeated abuses, after repeated disrespect. We oftentimes choose distance over disrespect. Recently, I decided to reconnect with my emotionally immature mother, and that was a mistake because I realized that her efforts were nothing but a pretense. It was a disguise. It wasn't authentic. It was just, once again, another game. And what initially motivated me to reconnect with my mom is, for one, Mother's Day recently passed, and you see everyone else out there, they have a close relationship with their mother. They have mothers who are loving, supportive, who are caring, and who actually listen and provide that loving support. And so you see this, and then you compare and contrast it to your experience, and you feel so many different things. You feel angry, you feel sad, you feel upset, but you also feel like maybe you haven't tried hard enough. Maybe you haven't done your part. Maybe you haven't gone that extra mile. And so you decide to give it another shot. You decide to give it another shot because you want your mother in your life. You want to build a relationship with your family of origin. You want a healthy relationship. You don't want to constantly be at odds with your family, and be at each other's throats. So you decide to give it another chance. And so I decided to give my mom another chance, although I didn't really see any major behavior change. I decided to take her to therapy so that way we can heal this wound and we can repair the rupture. That didn't go well. She ended up leaving the session, the virtual session, and so nothing was resolved. So once again, I went no contact. That's what initially, you know, um, solidified my decision to go no contact. And so after some time passed, got some breathing room, decided to give it another shot. Then I see a video that she posted where she's saying that my sister and I do not pour into her. My sister and I do not care about her. She finds that when she's in our presence, she oftentimes has to wear a mask or tone down her speech or just, try to, in an effort to get along, try to, just hide herself and suppress her feelings in order to get along with us. And the thing about that is, my generation is calling these parents to change their ways, to rethink how they talk to their kids, to rethink how they interact with their kids. See, my mother's generation, the baby boomer generation, they tolerated a lot of disrespect from their parents. My generation is not going to do that. You're going to talk to us with respect. You're not going to curse at us. You're not going to verbally abuse us. You're not going to call us drunk. You're not going to just engage in all these different behaviors with us. You're not going to do that. We're not going to allow that. We set boundaries. And so because I won't allow you to violate my boundaries, because I won't allow you to verbally abuse me and disrespect me, all of a sudden it's problematic. I'm starting to realize that if my relationship with someone relies on my silence, relies on my passivity, relies on me turning a blind eye to very, very toxic, unhelpful, dysfunctional behavior, then we will never be in relationship because I'm not going to do that. If my relationship with someone relies on me having to suppress my feelings and my truth, then I won't be around that person. And I realize that I can't continue to engage with someone who constantly makes me feel as though I'm not good enough. Like nothing that I do is ever enough. And I told my mother, I said, you know something? I can give you the sun and you would want the moon. I can give you the moon and you would want the stars. I can give you the stars, every star in my sky, and you will want the sky. Nothing is ever good enough for my mother. And then I had to sit back and realize, what is up with that? When nothing you do is ever good enough for your parents. That's their issue. They struggle from a deep sense of low self-worth. They struggle with an inferiority complex that causes them to try to maintain power and control over their children because they can't control other elements of their own life. And so they have to project their dissatisfaction, their frustration, their anger onto their children in an effort to keep them underneath their thumb, in an effort to maintain control, in an effort to feel as though they're powerful because, look, I can control another life. And what ends up happening is that they alienate their children away from them. Parents with this toxic mindset, they end up alienating their children from them. And this is why many children decide to go no contact. This is why there's a lot of older folks, a lot of mature individuals in old folks' homes, in nursing homes, and their children don't come to see them because they've abused their children. They have not taken care of the relationship. They have not cherished the relationship with their kids. And so they have no visitors. This is what happens. There are a lot of older individuals, older adults in nursing homes asking, where are my kids? Where are my kids? I spent years raising these kids. Where are they? Well, let's talk about it. What have you done to your kids throughout raising them? Have you abused them? Have you verbally assaulted them? Have you disrespected them? Have you physically assaulted them? But yet and still you want them to show up for you? These parents really have got to assess and take a look at how they're treating their children. They have got, and I know that, the argument is no one asks to be a single parent or no one asks to be a parent. That's right. But at the same time, you made choices. You decided to open up your legs. And when you decide to open your legs up, there's a consequence. A baby may form from that. So if you don't want a child, don't open your legs. It's just that simple. And this may sound harsh. This may sound like a judgment. It's not. I see too many kids nowadays going unloved because of a parent's poor choices. I see too many kids thrown away, disregarded and discarded because of a parent's poor choice. My thing is this, these parents have got to remember, they had us. We didn't have them. And that's what I want all emotionally immature parents to understand. This is my admonition to you. You had us. We didn't have you. Please keep that in mind. And while you didn't ask to come here, we didn't ask to come here either. Okay? You may not have asked to take on the role of single parent, but you have to remember that you decided to be a parent. Therefore, once you decide to be a parent, there's responsibilities that comes along with that. See, me, I decided not to be a parent. Why did I decide not to be a parent? Because I know that I have certain traumas and I know that I have certain things that I have to work on before I have a child, because I don't want to transmit my traumas onto that child. I want that child to have a chance. Does that mean that I'll be perfect? Of course not. No parent is perfect. But at the same time, it does not take perfection to love and care and provide nurturance to a child. It does not take a perfect parent. It takes a parent who's willing to address their own wounding. That's what it takes. A parent who's willing to address their own wounding so that way they can be present for their child. And a lot of emotionally immature parents do not want to do that. They want to continue to repeat cycles. And they get mad at you when you want to break those cycles. And so I'm just to the point where, you know something, I've had to go no contact again with my emotionally immature mother because I see that nothing was really addressed. It's the same old behaviors. And what I'm noticing also with a lot of emotionally immature parents is that they also have a lot of comorbid disorders. There's a lot of borderline traits. There's a lot of mental health issues that they struggle with as well. So that complicates the relationship as well, because when you're loving a parent who lives with either a substance abuse diagnosis or a mental health diagnosis, it's really, really difficult. It's very difficult because you're never given that love, that nurturance, that care that you deserve. You always have to be their caretaker. You know, I keep on asking myself, when do I get to stop raising my mother? When do I get to stop raising my parents? You know, my father, I didn't raise him because he wasn't around. You know, so I didn't have that burden. But you know something, I had to deal with a lot of dysfunction because of his absence, because he was not there. In many ways, I had to be the surrogate husband to my mother. I had to pick up the slack. I had to be the counselor where he should have been there listening, providing care, compassion, concern, and counsel. That was his role, but I had to step into that role. This is why I'm such an effective counselor today, because I've had years of experience. And it's oftentimes our traumas that yield our talents. And while it's not advisable to just put yourself through some traumatic experience to yield talent, one of the imperfect gifts of trauma is an increased awareness, is an ability to tune in, you know? An ability to be aware and attuned to what's going on. As a person who has survived trauma, I can put my pulse up to the world. You know, I can take the temperature, I can put my fingers up to the pulse of the world, and I can feel the world. I know that sounds weird, that sounds very strange, but I can feel the world. And that's why sometimes I'm exhausted. And we call that being an empath. Those people who are gifted with the ability to feel the world, feel its hurts, feel its joys, feel its confusion, feel its whirl. It can be too much. And this is why you need that support. You need that love, that rest, that nurturance. You need that. You need people in your world who allow your nervous system to rest, who allow your heart to rest, where you can rest in their love. And you can trust that they love you, that they will protect you. I don't feel that way with my mother. I don't feel that way at all. I gotta be honest. I don't feel like she has the capacity to provide that nurturance. And that's what I had to realize early on, is that a lot of emotionally immature parents just don't have the capacity. They are emotional paraplegics. And the same way we would not expect a paraplegic to be able to walk or dance with us, we can expect our emotionally immature parents to be able to hold us and nurture us the way that we deserve to be loved, nurtured, and held. We can't. They just don't have the capacity for that. And realizing that has definitely been eye-opening. It's been freeing, but at the same time, it's a journey, because there's a lot of grief that I'm trying to navigate through right now. I'm trying to navigate through this grief of not having the mother that I deserved, you know? But rather having someone who always wants to try to make me feel as though I'm not enough. Having someone that always wants to make me feel like everything I do is wrong, you know? So I'm just to the point where, you know something? It is what it is. I tried my best to reconnect. It didn't work out. You know, and my thing is this, for those out there who are contemplating reconnecting with their emotionally immature parent, I would definitely like to offer some commentary on that. Definitely, for one, if it's physically not safe to do so, don't do it. There are some parents who are physically abusive and can definitely try to put their kids' lives at risk. So if it's physically unsafe, don't do it. If you find even that it's emotionally unsafe, don't do it. If the person's going to do nothing but berate you constantly and put you down and criticize you, don't do it. Don't bother. And sometimes you may be tempted to go back just to see if there has been any behavior change, to see if there has been something that changed, something, you know? And with that situation, I would say tread lightly. Protect your height. If you decide to do that, if you decide, once again, you are a free moral agent, and if you decide to do that, wonderful. But at the same time, don't have any expectations. Don't have any expectations as to a healthy reunification with this person, because they've already demonstrated that they lack the capacity. So to continue to seek out that love and support from a person that has shown you, that they've shown you that they don't have that to give, you're only breaking your own heart. And so if you choose to take the temperature and try to see if this person has changed, that's up to you. But don't expect anything. Don't expect anything, because unrealistic expectations lead to major disappointments. And so it's unrealistic to expect that somebody who has shown a track record of being uncaring, indifferent, cruel, it's unrealistic to expect them to somehow change. And quite frankly, it was hard for me because as a social worker, my field is predicated on the belief that a person can change. The entire social work profession is predicated on the belief that people change. But sometimes people are just so stuck in their ways. I would think that if you are an older adult, eventually you would phase out of certain behaviors. You think that people would phase out, but sometimes they don't. Older adults don't phase out, they just become old fools. So, and ain't nothing worse, in my opinion, than an old fool. So you have to definitely realize that some people just don't change. They just continue on being broken, and they continue playing victim. They continue playing victim to circumstances that they continue to create. And my thing is this, for all emotionally immature parents. If the goal is reunification with your kids, if the goal is a closer relationship with your kids, why would you do certain things to sabotage that? Why would you continue to engage in certain behaviors that only sabotage that goal? If you say you want a closer relationship with your kids, but yet and still you do things that will continue to keep your kids away from you, do you really want a closer relationship with your kids, or do you just want it on your terms? Your terms being the toleration and acceptance of abuse and disrespect. If your kids are telling you that this is what I believe, this is my faith, this is what keeps me strong, and you continue to denounce their faith, you continue to criticize their faith, you continue to make videos that only just attack their faith, do you think that they would really want a close relationship with you? This is common sense right here. It's common sense that they wouldn't want a closer relationship with you because they're not being fed. Their faith is under attack when they're in your presence. Why would they want to continue a relationship with you when you have demonstrated to them numerous times that you don't value what they believe in? And so I just don't understand what's wrong with these older. I just don't get it. I don't understand because to me, in my mind, this is just basic. This is rudimentary, fundamental logic. If I say I want a closer relationship with my friend, for example, and I'm continuing to do everything that will jeopardize that relationship, do I, in effect, want a closer relationship with that person? Or is this just another act of self-sabotage? Like I said, I don't get it. But once again, emotionally immature parents don't make sense. And at the same time, they make perfect sense, if that makes sense. Because you understand where that comes from. You understand the etiology of that behavior, but at the same time, just because you understand the cause does not mean that you have to continue to tolerate the abuse and the disrespect. And I'm just tired. There comes a point in your life where you just get tired. You get tired of tolerating disrespect from people, even family members. You get tired of tolerating disrespect from friends, from coworkers. You realize that a lot of times you've tolerated a lot of disrespect in your personal life and in your relationship life and in your work life and in your friendship life, your social life, because of the disrespect that you've tolerated from family. You've normalized that. You thought that, okay, that's fine. You've normalized that. But that's not normal. That's not healthy behavior. And it's not going to be tolerated. And when you admit that to yourself, that that's not normal behavior, that that's not acceptable, that talking to me all kind of crazy and criticizing me continuously under the guise of providing constructive feedback, no. And within a lot of family systems, I got to be honest, within a lot of family systems, I've asked myself, what is the cause of the breakdown? Lack of trust due to repeated ruptures, repeated boundary violations, repeated abuses, repeated disrespect. Okay? The lack of respect, that to me is the major. If I was to just, put a heading on all of it, why is there a breakdown within families? The lack of respect for who that person is becoming. It's a gross lack of respect. And if you don't respect who someone is becoming, do you really expect them to be around you? They're not going to want to be around you because they're becoming someone who they want to be. Right or wrong, we all have a right to choose what we will become. And so whether a person agrees or not, it could be the reason why people and family members have distanced themselves, because they realize that in your presence, I can't be the healthy, strong person I need to be in order to survive. No, I have to be this version of what you think I should be. No, a lot of us are getting tired of being the version of a person that our loved ones want us to be. We're getting tired of being that version because it's not authentic. We're not living authentically. We're living in the shadow of their expectations. And we're suffocating and we're drowning in that shadow. And as you grow into yourself and you start to realize your own potential, you start to realize your own talents and abilities, you can't tolerate the foolishness anymore. You can't put up with it. There comes a point where you say to yourself, I can't do this. I can't do this in good faith and say I love myself, but yet instead I'm tolerating abuse from everybody else. Life will always ask you how deep your love is. Like that song by the Bee Gees, How Deep Is Your Love? How deep is your love? I really need to learn. That song? Life will ask you that question. How deep is your love? And it will test you. And it will test you in the form of friendships, family members, co-workers, all of it. How deep is your love? You say you love yourself, but yet still you tolerate this disrespect. You say you love yourself, but yet still you continue to put up with constant boundary violations. These people think they can show up any way in your life, and you allow that. Do you really love yourself? And as I'm loving myself, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm starting to realize that my circle has become a period. I'm okay with that. My family relationships have definitely dwindled. That's whatever. I'm still working through that grief. But I'm learning that as you come into yourself and you begin to form a healthy relationship with self and God, a lot of people don't like that. And quite frankly, it's the trash taking itself out. It's also an answer to God's prayer. You know, we oftentimes ask God to reveal, remove, and replace. So he reveals and he removes, and your replacements are on the way. But you can't accept those replacements if you continue to put up with a bunch of nonsense and disrespect. See, your hands have to be free in order for you to actually accept those replacements. Now, if you're still holding on to old resentments, anger, if you're still holding on to toxic relatives, or you're still holding on to the weight of people that don't really love you or support you or care about you in any real way, how can you ever make room for the replacements? How? You got to let that nonsense go and keep your hands open, keep your heart open, and just your blessings will be poured into your lap. They'll be poured into your lap. And I believe that firmly. And so once again, I have to remind myself daily to walk in that mindset, because it's a tendency to sometimes just lose your faith. You see everything around you falling down. You see your family relationships breaking down. You see your friendships breaking down. It's easy to lose faith. But the reality is this. You have to know that it's coming beyond a shadow of a doubt. And I know that. Great things are on the way. Great things are on the way. And so I just look forward to it. And I'm also doing my work now to lay the groundwork for those great things. Right now, I'm cleansing my foundation. I'm making sure that it's ready for the buildings, for those wonderful buildings that I will be building. Trust and believe. And so for those out there who are thinking about reconnecting with your emotionally immature parents, I say this: tread lightly, and I wish you the best. But once again, take care of yourself. Make sure that you are keeping yourself safe. Make sure that you are giving yourself the mothering and the fathering that you wanted from them, but never got. Give that to yourself. Reparent yourself. Hold yourself. Love yourself. Because you need it. You need it and you deserve it. So thank y'all for listening. Peace.